Welcome to the RD Squeeze. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Emily.
And we're two dietitian besties here to squeeze out the misinformation around health and nutrition. All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 9 of the RD Squeeze.
Welcome.
I'm Mickey.
And I'm Emily.
And we are almost done with our first season.
We are.
Very exciting. I forgot to mention it in our last episode, but we did have a scenery change.
A little bit, yeah.
Emily. We film in Emily's house. And I like the setup because it's a little more cozy, a little more comfy. You all can't see it, but there's a nice little fireplace over here. Yeah. So it's very much appropriate for the cold winter season. So if you haven't noticed,
which will be for quite a while longer.
Because
we only get like 3 to 4 months of warmer weather.
Exactly. But so we're a little bit more cozy, which is very nice, and comfy, so that's good. So today we're talking about New Year's resolutions. No funny punny alliteration title today. We're just talking about New Year's resolutions. Because by the time this episode comes out, it'll be around the beginning of the new year. We're talking about realistic goals, why people fail, why people stick to them, what we feel about them.
Oh my gosh, the data you have. So Americans who make New Year's resolutions, only 9% feel that they're successful by the end of the year. Now, one full year is a long time. I will say that.
Yeah, 365. 365 days. That's a long time.
But only 9% who make them actually meet them for a full year.
Yeah.
And the failure rate is 23% quit their resolution by the end of the first week. So sometime in January, most likely. That end of the first week, 23% of people, more than a fifth of people.
Wow.
Quit their resolution.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, you would know better than I do, but I think regular gym goers hate going to the gym that first week because that's when everybody goes and they flood the gym and then it slowly dies down.
Yeah, because everyone's getting their new memberships and, all the gyms have their deals and everything, which marketing wise, that's fine. Like, do that. That is when people try and make resolutions. I think today, again, we're doing pros and cons. I think we do a lot of that. Pros and cons of making New Year's resolutions. There's nothing wrong with making a New Year's resolution. I think we're going to talk about ways to make it more realistic for people so you have higher success rate. That's kind of what we're aiming at today. But a lot of people blame their failure on lack of time, which we know in today's world is people don't have time anymore. If you're a family, you have both parents working jobs, full-time jobs, if not 1, 2, 3 jobs. You have kids going to after-school activities and so forth. If you're older and have a little more time, maybe you're actually watching those grandkids, or maybe you're watching your caregiver for your parent. So the time that's after those work hours has become so limited. Getting to the grocery store is more stressful. There's more traffic. So the time and amount of time you have to get there is taking longer. The resources to actually complete or have success in your goals, I'm not sure where that stems from. I'd like to maybe look into that a little bit further on the resources, but I think in today's world we can talk about what resources are out there to give you success. And then motivation. And we talked about it in our last episode. I did, at least the time as far as like daylight, like motivation might not be there, but continuing to be motivated might also not be there. And there might be steps to help with that. And we're going to actually touch on kind of then the counterpart of that motivator, which could be a dietitian. So we're going to touch on
we're going to tie it all together with a big bow.
Both ends of that. Yeah. So I think what a lot of people get into New Year's resolutions for, and then they get out of them, is the anxiety and stress of what they made the resolution for. What do we mostly see for resolutions?
Well, we definitely see them for weight loss. That's the biggest one. I think exercising is also like a component of that. So maybe not necessarily losing weight. I mean, it could be stronger. I think it is more tied to the losing weight.
It's weight-based, I think, because again, the society we live in.
I think a lot of people, it's not just health related. I think getting like more organized or utilizing time more effectively. I mean, that's always been my thing, is I spend too much time on social media, wasting time. And I've slowly incrementally got better at that. And we can talk about that. Learning new skills, which I think is a good one. Saving more money, quitting smoking, or maybe quitting drinking could be another one. And then spending more times with friends and family, which also is not necessarily a bad thing. So
to touch on all those points. Yeah. So in past episodes, I've talked about like the whole person and taking care of yourself. And I think a lot of these cover all those different areas of your whole health. So we have relationships, we have the social aspect of our life. If we're not engaged in that, that could actually be causing us stress in an unknown way. If we are not sleeping well and recharging well, that could be creating stress within our body. That's inflammatory then, if we're not allowing ourselves to get the rest that we need. Obviously the activity, the nutrition, those are big areas of our overall health and wellness as well. Religious aspects, that kind of goes with the spiritual aspects too. Those are big areas. So if we're not taking care of all these areas, which a lot of these kind of coincide into, then our health is at jeopardy, or we could have further health conditions, further health issues. So these are all great areas to focus, I think, if you want to set New Year's resolutions on, to set them on. Because if you feel you're not meeting the needs of one of those areas, great. Where can we do that? Is your creativity a part of like that social or just kind of personal goal that's going to help you with dealing with something else, dealing with other stress, dealing with a condition you might have to help relax you a little bit more?
Yeah, I do like, so we're going to talk about like how to set goals. But something I was kind of triggered to think about was the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So there's that like food, shelter, water, that top tier. And then it
basic human needs.
Yes, basic human needs. And then we do have a social component to our needs, a sense of belonging, some sort of social interaction. So some of these do come into play with that. So, we do need to touch on those because that does have a need, and like that could be a motivator because it is a need that we need to fulfill. So kind of using that as our motivator could be beneficial to think about. But yeah, so I think with this, before we get into the goal setting, why do you think things fail when New Year's resolutions are happening? Like, why do you think people fail?
Well, because I see a lot of patients and deal with these goals, especially now and moving into the new year, and we actually try and set goals earlier before the new year even gets there. I think the biggest thing is people reach too far. They're trying to, so, your end goal is weight loss, but you're thinking your goal needs to be right under what that weight loss is. Every goal should be just a small step to get to that end goal of, if it's weight loss, for example, I'll just use this today. So people are setting more unrealistic goals for themselves. They're not taking into account their lifestyle. And this can also be kind of promoted by maybe other healthcare professionals, unfortunately. Maybe other healthcare professionals are saying you have to lose weight. You have to lose 60 pounds in order to get your knee surgery or your hip surgery. You have to lose weight because that's what's causing your pain, and you need to lose 60 pounds. So that's kind of what their goal is like, well, the doc said I have to lose 60 pounds. So I have to do that. And I want my surgery before April. So in 4 months, I got to lose 60 pounds.
Yeah. And that's unrealistic typically. Yeah. I mean, 4 months isn't too bad to lose. I mean, you really have to be like stringent on that, and, not be fluctuating or anything, but that is typically unrealistic. Or people are like, I want to lose 30 pounds in a month. And that's not realistic. And then they get frustrated with the fact that they haven't even made any progress. Like if they see that they haven't lost a pound every day, they're like, well, forget it. I'm just not going to do it anymore because I've made all this effort. And chances are you probably haven't made a ton of effort. I mean, you could have been or whatever, but
it's an all or nothing thought process of I have to either go all in on my diet, my health, and my activity and my self-care, in order for me to be able to have success to lose all that weight.
Mm-hmm.
If my diet isn't good, if I eat carbs, it's out. Never mind. I might as well just give up and not keep going. And that's what we want to break. We want to break that cycle of the all or nothing thought process for health goals, because we understand, or at least many dietitians these days understand and acknowledge life, and acknowledge that there's ups and downs, acknowledge that we're not looking for perfection in any health and wellness area.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking for improvement. We're looking for maintenance and consistency of what you're doing, acknowledging that there can be times when things aren't going the way that they could be going or had been going.
Yep. I agree. And something to consider too, we've touched on this a little bit, is habit building. And it can take, 21 days at least for you to fully make a habit change. So based on the statistic that we just mentioned in the beginning, people quit by that first week. They get so frustrated. So they quit. And it's like, that was 7 days. You need to at least do it for a month to even fulfill that habit change. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we do regress and we stop doing what we had intended to make a habit. So it really is about those small incremental changes, and, moving the goalpost a little bit, not setting the goalpost all the way down that football field, because that's not realistic. Yeah. And before we get into the goals too, I wanted to mention the stages of change. Because I think that's important to help others recognize where we're at. And I didn't put that on the outline, but I meant to. So the stages of change are pre-contemplation, contemplation, what is it? Action? Mm-hmm. I'm like quizzing myself. I should know this. I teach this. Action, maintenance, and termination. Yeah. Am I missing any?
Yeah. No, that's it.
Okay. So pre-contemplation is when you're thinking about it. So now is usually the time. Yeah. People are thinking about it. Or sometimes they haven't thought about it at all, or they have no motivation to change. So they're really not thinking about it.
They go to a doctor, and that's when this is like, oh, maybe I need to make change. Go to a dietitian. Oh, maybe I need to make change.
Yeah. And then contemplation is, oh, I should make this change. What can I do to make those changes? Correct. Setting yourself up to make those changes. Maybe it's buying the gym membership. Stop buying cigarettes or alcohol, making plans, with friends, whatever the case may be, based off of those. Yeah. I did put it on there. Preparation. I did miss one.
We missed that.
I did put it on here. So contemplate, then preparation. So this is preparation. So pre-contemplation, I messed it up. Pre-contemplation is, there's no motivation to change.
No.
Contemplation is there is thoughts about it. Preparation is preparing. So getting the gym membership, buying the healthier foods,
making your appointments for dietitian, doctor, PT, whatever it might be.
Action is doing it. So maybe going to the gym twice a week, maybe, eating out less. So maybe, cooking more at home, eating less takeout, whatever. And you're making those changes. Maintenance is you've made those changes for over, 30 days, 60 days?
Usually I look at usually between 30 to 60 days.
Okay. And then termination, which people very rarely get to, is when you've made the change and you've stopped. You're just it's part of your daily routine, or you've stopped doing it completely. And this is not linear. It is cyclical. So you can go from contemplation to pre-contemplation, from preparation to contemplation to, it doesn't have to be this linear.
Yeah.
It's a spectrum. It's you can revert back to. So,
and this is something as a dietitian, when I'm counseling patients, I'm thinking in my head, I'm not literally saying to the patient, oh, you're contemplating right now. I'm thinking in my head, yep, they're in contemplation stage. Okay, what are we going to do to set a goal for you at this stage of change? And I think that's what you were kind of getting into.
Yes. So one of the statistics that we looked at, and I'm going to read off of this. So there's an approach-oriented goal versus an avoidance-oriented goal. And approach-oriented goals are when someone completes a task with the motivation of receiving positive feedback from others. Whereas an avoidance-oriented goal is when someone completes a task out of fear or of receiving negative feedback from others. And actually, approach is more successful than avoidance. And one of the main factors in the success of the approach-oriented goals is that basically that support. So support from family, from a dietitian, from a practitioner, support from friends, wherever the case may be. So again, we don't want to we want to avoid receiving negative feedback a lot of times, but that doesn't often make us more successful, because actually getting that negative feedback could kind of deter us from doing it.
We were talking about this earlier, and I'm thinking more along like psychology and maybe a mental health appointment. Those might have more of those avoidance oriented goals, because they really don't want to maybe go to that appointment. They don't want to hear how they've been thinking is negative and so forth. Whereas that approach oriented may be utilizing a dietitian to continue to maintain what they've met. The population I work with, they all tend to say, I want to continue to follow up. The data and statistics, I'm not sure what the numbers are, but there is research articles out there about continuing to follow up with a dietitian is going to help people maintain a healthy weight because of that approach-oriented goal or goals that they have. They receive positive feedback typically, no matter what the smallest amount of improvement was. Hey, you stopped using so much salt on your food. You're still using salt, but I know you're using less because you're not going through your salt shaker as fast. You are now consuming less than 2 bottles of soda a day, and before you were consuming 5. So no matter what that little improvement is, they're going to receive some positive feedback from that. And I think that type of approach, I think people just lean more towards in the dietitian world, because they are able to get positive feedback, but set new goals that are realistic to them. And we're going to dive into, I think, those SMART goals, what we call SMART goals soon here.
So the best way to make a New Year's resolution is to make them SMART, which is SMART, which means specific, measurable, attainable.
Action-oriented, attainable.
Action-oriented, okay. Action-oriented, that's it. Realistic and time-bound. The A I always mess up on. But SMART is an acronym for that, so you can remember it that way. So specific is making it, not just super broad, like I want to lose weight. It would be like, I plan on going to the gym at least twice a week. Measurable, again, that twice a week component, so making sure that you have a measurable goal. So maybe it's also like, I want to go to the gym twice a week for at least 3 months. So action bound, again, it's something that you can take action on. Realistic is something that you're not setting yourself up to fail.
We're not saying 7 days a week. We're not saying 5 days a week when we know it's not realistic. Like, I could do it. I don't know if I'm going to.
Can you commit
consistently?
To that? Yeah. Yes. Can you commit to that for the rest of your life? Think of it that way. If you're going to say, I'm going to go 7 days a week, is that a realistic thing? Probably not. Is it realistic to go maybe 2 days a week? Absolutely. So thinking of it that way, like, don't set yourself up to fail right off the bat.
Right.
And then time bound, again, is by maybe the end of the year if you're considering a New Year's resolution. So that way you're not setting yourself up right for flavor. I don't know, for failure. And you're making those small incremental, realistic changes where you don't feel like if you've fallen off course, you can't get right back into it. And I don't know about you, have you had any specific kind of goals that you've met that you were able to achieve? Or
I think that's actually one is the activity. So, and I will say, I think 2 things here. In your lifetime, things are going to change. I know when I was in college and I had time and I just had classes to go to and homework to do, I had time to go to the gym every day. And that was like part of my routine. That helped with the routine, helped keep my brain going. Now that I'm an adult and I have other, things that I'm doing and a full-time job where I'm tired and, there's other things I got to get done during the week, I don't have as much time. I don't have the commitment to be able to say every day I'm going to go, or at least 5 days a week. I don't have that. So I actually, I'll say fallen off the wagon, but I didn't talk negative about myself. I didn't get down on myself. I just knew life changes happened and like my health things were going on. So what did I do? I set a goal of 2 days a week. And so here's another thing for that timely and kind of measurable. A lot of people say Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm just using that as an example. I'm going to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. For people who like routine and feel that that's going to help them, that's absolutely okay to say that. But what if something happens or changes on a Monday? What if you get stuck at work late on a Wednesday? What if on a Friday you had plans and they end up being earlier than you thought? You can't maybe potentially do that goal that you had set. So I like to explain to people, why don't we change it from a day to days within the week, 2 days a week versus Tuesday, Thursday? Because when people set those days and things change, then it's that all or nothing thought process, the fail, and the negative thoughts. If we just say 2 days a week, I'm going to meet that. You could do Saturday, Sunday. I don't care. Whatever days work for you. Or, you have a routine maybe of Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to go, but something comes up on a Wednesday. Okay, well, I'm going to go tomorrow. I can do it on a Thursday now. That allows that flexibility too, to your goal. So that way you're not set in stone to certain things to then feel that failure if you can't get there.
Well, and I think a good point to think about too is, especially like with movement or exercise, what is your motivation? And what do you enjoy? I mean, we've talked about this a little bit, but if you're dreading going to the gym is not for you. And again, it could be very much for other people, but like for me, as a personal example, I like the accountability of like a group class. And I always thought like, oh, I could work out at home or whatever. And I would like to try and do that more. I'm not setting a New Year's resolution right now, but like, I think I would like to work out more maybe at home, but I need the accountability and like, I'm going to commit to this class every single week, or I'm going to see my friend there, or like, I don't want to miss a class because I don't want to miss what they covered. So that is something that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Some people like specific types of movements, specific types of classes. So, if you're setting the goal to run a marathon, you have to be a good runner and like somebody that can train and enjoys running.
Yeah.
I am not going to run
and
a marathon.
Self-motivated in a way for that. Yeah.
But like if it's a dance class or something that I like, then yeah, I'm going to look forward to doing that and I'm going to want to go. So thinking about your motivator and what would bring you to that. I think I was doing a high intensity classes for a little while. It was right after COVID. And I did really enjoy it, but I knew the people that were there and it was very close to my house. So I didn't have to drive very far. So like it was at a time that I could do it. So there were multiple factors coming into it. And I enjoyed the group aspect. Did I enjoy the class very much? No, but I didn't almost want to let down my peers. Like they were looking forward to seeing me there. So I wanted to go. But then they moved further away from my house. And I was like, I can't physically drive myself there. That's adding extra time onto my day that I didn't anticipate. Like it was no longer realistic for me to keep. And then, so I stopped. And that was a bummer because I did like enjoy it in some ways, but then other ways I kind of got some time back.
The social, you enjoyed it, which can bring that motivation. But then the actual physical part of it, it was becoming a stressor. And I think that's what we have to focus goals on sometimes and look at and reassess. And that's okay to reassess. We went over the data from the beginning of how many people fail within the first month of setting these goals. It's okay to not continue those same goals and say, ooh, this wasn't realistic for me. Let's recheck in. That's where follow-ups with dietitians, or maybe if you like to do personal training or whatever, that's where follow-ups with those types of people, health coaches, they can help you kind of reframe what's going on and figure out what's going to work for you. As a dietitian, we can really dive into, of course, that nutrition aspect of it to see, well, what's working, what's not. That's kind of where the health coach in us, I will say, comes in, is that we want things to be realistic. And if you're not enjoying movement, if you're not enjoying the food you're eating, if you're not enjoying maybe some mental health, things or activities that you're doing, well, let's reassess. Let's look at it. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't think you're a failure. Don't think negative because of that. Just, we have to change it. And it's okay to use the first few months in the year, if you like to set goals for yourself, to establish what then is going to work for life, or at least for a lengthy time. Because over time, whether it's maybe the winters and the spring, you like to do certain activities, and the summer you like to do different activity, and then when fall comes, you like to just do your own kind of thing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We don't have to always stick to the same routine. And I think another thing with people falling out and that 9% success rate for one full year is the enjoyment. But also, like, we can get bored of things, and you can make change, and that's there's nothing wrong to that. So I think that's something that change is okay when it comes to our health goals.
Well, and to kind of go off of that, assessing where you're at, what's changed in your life, and then just making changes to that. So that's why, like, it's almost backfiring in a way to set these like goals in the new year, and not accounting for that potential change, the potential to be flexible and reassess and think of, this isn't working for me anymore. What can I do differently? Because then you automatically assume you're failing, and that's not the case. So just like have that grace with yourself. Like, I'm still sticking with my goal. It's just, it's looking a little bit different than I expected. And the one thing I did want to mention too, the approach oriented goals, they have that support base. So sometimes that accountability is super important to have, whether it is with a practitioner of some sort, so like a dietitian, or just family, friends. And that can be with anything. I mean, a lot of people talk about like gym buddies or running buddies or whatever, but like one of the things that I kind of alluded to in the beginning of the episode was like, I didn't want to spend as much time on my phone and like on social media. And I did want to read more. So me and my boyfriend, 2 years ago, we made like a goal to almost do our own personal like book club, and to pick a book every month. We'd alternate, and we listen to audiobooks and stuff. So like it gave us the accountability. If we didn't finish the book in a month, it is what it is. Like, as long as you are making the progress and trying to listen to it, like my November book, I'm still listening to. It's almost the end of December. Like I'm going to try and finish it by the end of the year, but if I don't, it's fine. But regardless, like having that accountability, having somebody to do it with can also give you that support and that motivation to continue to do it. And again, we're not yelling at each other like, hey, you didn't finish the book, anything like that can apply. You can apply that to anything. So just, if that's something that you want to do, find a buddy. If you can't find a buddy, there's like social media groups out there. Like, I'm sure there's like support groups, anything like that, or find a practitioner like a dietitian or anybody that can help support you in that and give you that accountability that maybe you might need as a motivator.
And again, some people need that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think when you rely on them to give you the advice, to give you the goals, there is some self care that is needed. There is some self need of like, you have to set these goals. You have to do the goals. I just had a patient that came in a couple of weeks ago, and they were like, oh, I knew I was coming to the dietitian, so I knew I had to start food logging again, and da 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 da. And I'm like, I don't want you to think that way. This is for your health. And again, as a dietitian, we know how to frame those thoughts and change those negative thoughts to positive. And, it wasn't anything you did bad because you didn't food log for 2 weeks. And just as one example of like, yes, I'm here to support you, but don't feel like, oh my gosh, a week goes by, I didn't do what my dietitian did. You're not a failure. Just rethink, and you acknowledge that you haven't been doing what we talked about. This is your goal. This isn't mine. I'm here to guide you, to support you, and to motivate you to move forward as you need that as well.
Yeah. Which this brings up another good thing too for like students. So a lot of times when I'm working with students and they're trying to study for the RD exam, they want me to set the goals for them. I'm like, no, you like, how often can you study? And they're like, oh, well, I'm going to study 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm like, that's not realistic. Like, maybe let's start with a half an hour a day, or, an hour every other day, but take breaks. You're not going to do 8 hours a day for 7 days a week. You burn out. That sounds terrible to me. And like, then you're going to be so sick of it. Like, there's so many ways that this can apply. And just thinking about it from, again, that realistic standpoint of what can I actually commit to without setting myself up for failure.
Yeah.
I think
and then the acknowledgement of there can be flexibility in this and change that happens.
Right. Awesome. Anything you want to add?
I don't think so. No, I think this is a great episode to get into the new year and get people just rethinking really about your New Year's resolutions if you have them, and what maybe you want to set them for. If you feel that your health and wellness goals are kind of pretty consistent, well, maybe set a different type of goal for yourself. Maybe you mentioned organizing, and maybe there's other things you want to do around your house or your home or the neighborhood, or you want to get more involved in the community. Maybe those are types of goals to set, because that has that social responsibility as well that maybe you're missing out on.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be health related. It could be so many different things, and don't set a billion New Year's resolutions. Maybe just set one and see how it goes, and then go from there.
Yeah.
But all right, so we're gonna do our sweet and sours, but we're also we don't really believe in New Year's resolutions. Like we
both don't really set them.
We're kind of just like we set these things and we're like, I want to do this. So we are going to maybe do a New Year's resolution, but that's not health related. So something that is, again, that social aspect, something else like that. So do you want to do our sour, then our sweet, then our New Year's resolution?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I gotta think of my sour still.
Okay. So my sour, I actually have mine written in my phone here, so I'm gonna grab that quick. Okay. So my recent sour, and again, this might be a goal that I need to work on, but we were kind of talking about it before, is I haven't been sleeping well. And I think it has multiple different reasons why. It could be my mattress. It could be a variety of different things. But regardless, I haven't been sleeping well. So I'm a little bit sour about that, because I'm always like so tired during the day. And then as soon as I get in my bed, I'm like wired. And I'm like, I need to like reset this. So again, not a goal or anything. It's just kind of like I need to regroup on this, but that's my sour right now.
Okay. I have my sour now.
Okay.
Mine is, so again, we're around the holidays now. Mine is, I'm not going to see my whole family pretty much. I'm going to see my mom, but the rest of my family, I'll see my in-laws. So yes, they are my family too. But my family, I won't be seeing too much of. So I'm a little sour about that.
I'm sorry. I know some of my family's actually in Seattle right now, and we really wanted to go this year, but we just couldn't make it work. And so I feel you there too. Yeah, that is a sour. That was an unanticipated sour. So all right, so our sweets. So I'm very excited because we are on holiday break for work. So I get a nice week-long break, which is nice. I mean, it's the holiday, so I still have a lot of, holiday stuff to do, but it's just nice to get some time off, and it is a perk of the job to have that week without having to worry about it. So that is what I'm sweet on right now. I'm just very excited about break.
Good. Well, good for you. Enjoy it. Get your sleep.
Yeah, I know. Catch up on sleep and all that fun stuff. But
well, my sweet is that I think I finally started like organizing my house a little bit more. Like before, it was kind of chaos. Not really unorganized, but just things weren't in the spots I wanted them to be. There's still a lot to do, but I'm feeling a lot more comfortable. And I realized that for me, that kind of holds a lot of stress. I'm just a very organized, I may have OCD in that sense of clean and organized, but I just feel like doing some of the things I've done in the past month, it's really helped me kind of get to a spot where I feel in a way at home. I feel like I don't have to always be doing something, because that's in the back of my mind of needing to be done. So that's my sweet, is I feel able to enjoy the holiday this year. Last year we were moving into our house, so it was very busy. And again, the whole year it's just been like organizing and painting and getting things for the house. So.
And that can be hard too, because like I said, you're looking around and you're thinking of all the things that need to be done. So it's nice that you feel a little bit more calm in a sense with that.
Yes.
And you're making it more home.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. So this is a one-time only New Year's resolution. Maybe we'll do New Year's resolution next year. But so is there a New Year's resolution that you can think of, or do you want me to?
No, I think I have one. I think for me, it's I'm going to use the word hobby, finding a new hobby. And maybe that's more in the art and craft realm. So that way I can kind of enjoy maybe afternoons or days, maybe even get together with friends and do this. So we have something to do together, or if it's still just me by myself, it's time for myself that I can sit in quiet, sit with music and just relax and kind of let my creativity flow. Maybe instead of arts and crafts, it's playing my guitar or my violin or my clarinet that I played when I was younger. So maybe it's just getting back into that as well, because music brings me a lot of joy. I don't know about you, but I know when I sing in my car, it always lets a lot of stress out.
For sure.
So I know music just in general does that for me.
I think we're on the same page in terms of embracing creativity a little bit. I'm trying to find more ways to embrace my creative side. Obviously, I mentioned I do stand up and stuff, but recently I did some community theater. So I really would like to do more of that. I did really enjoy it, and not like to the sense where I'm going to do it every time, like every month. I know there's people out there who are like every single month they have a show. I can't commit to that, but I would like to do a little bit more of that. The singing was fun.
Yeah.
I love dancing and acting and stuff. So I really want to do that more and just make more time, I think, for me for that stuff, because that was something I did for myself and I really enjoyed it, and I'd like to do more. And the community that I met, they were just lovely humans, and I just felt very welcomed. So I definitely want to embrace that a little bit more.
That's great. And Mickey was wonderful in the White Christmas, right?
Yeah.
A White Christmas.
Yeah.
It was wonderful to watch. I enjoyed it. We laughed. We didn't even know, but Mickey told me right before we went to the show, oh, my mom will be there. We ended up sitting right next to her.
I know, which was so funny. My mom loves you so much, and my mom loves Joe now too. She's like, oh, he's so sweet and stuff. But yeah, my mom was there with a friend, and you guys were there, and it was so nice to see you.
It was really fun. Yeah.
And I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was super fun. Like I said, it was very tiring, but it was good. Did you and Joe watch the movie?
We didn't watch it yet. Okay. Don't worry. We're going to watch it this week because we've got our Christmas movies all set out. So
Cool.
I have to watch It's a Wonderful Life. I have to watch that one.
Yeah.
And then we got to watch our, other typical ones.
Yeah. So, same.
Yeah.
That's where we're in the mood now to watch those. But awesome. Well, that's
wonderful.
Yeah, this is a good episode. Happy New Year to you all.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Happy holidays, however you're celebrating, whatever that looks like to you. And yeah, so we're going to end on episode 9. We have one more episode in the season, which is going to be a year in review of nutrition. So, that's going to be a really cool episode. So stay tuned for that. And otherwise, we'll see you in the new year. And yeah, thanks for joining us on the RD Squeeze.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Be sure to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram. We will always take topics you want to hear about, so message us for any topics you want to see covered on the RD Squeeze. Don't forget, it's dietitian with a T. We'll see you next time on the RD Squeeze.